As we noticed our students struggling in mathematics, we realized that we needed to do something to improve teaching and learning around math. So we did begin that process in August of 2009 by analyzing and discussing the PEs, which are the performance expectations in mathematics, so we can get a clearer understanding of what it was that the state was asking our students to be able to know and demonstrate. And we got together administrators and central office staff, and everyone agreed that mathematics was the area, the content area that we wanted to work on. So that's what started the process that we began 2 years ago.
The data showed that our students weren't progressing, our students were testing low, our students were in the level 1 consistently. So we knew that our scores we had to do something with it, because our scores were showing that our students were low. So we needed to look at our instruction, our standards, our progressions. We needed to rehaul all of math.
The WIN organization, or WIN group, has facilitators who are subject matter experts around particular contents. And we had Mary McConnell, who is what we call a WIN taxi, which is a facilitator, and she came in and worked with our teacher teams for actually 2 weeks during August a couple of years ago. And they unpacked the standards, or performance expectations, are what they're called in mathematics, our current standards. And they unpack them. And basically what unpacking means is just like unpacking a suitcase. The standards are written, they're very deep and full, so it's unpacking, it's opening up the suitcase, taking out the individual pieces, looking at the pieces and saying, okay, is this something I need to address or take care of right now? Is this something I can hang in my closet for a little bit later on to teach? So that's how it's just really analyzing the standards. Because one of the things we found that if we really don't understand a standard or really know how to teach it, obviously we're not going to be delivering effective instructions. And then from that process, we identified a math leadership team that we've had operational for the last 2 years, and that's been teachers representative of every building, and then also, which we call the MLAT, and then also the MCATs, which are smaller grade level or content specific teams that have been working specifically on those curriculum guides. The leadership team basically was looking at the bigger kinds of picture things, like in terms of math interventions. How do we intervene when kids are not working or learning as a system? Or how do we provide, what kind of professional development do we need to provide to help increase our teachers' capacity? So with those two organizations, or two groups, were born out of that math work that we started in August 2 years ago, and they have continued.
So in MLAT, we developed a mission statement so that we could help every student maximize their potential by developing concepts, skills, and strategies. As an MLAT member, we developed different subcommittees for the MCATs so that we could kind of serve as a liaison or communication between our MCATs and our professional learning communities. In our MCAT, I worked on the high quality math instruction, which was one of our subcommittees. We also had an assessment group and a core curriculum group.
We were intentional of how we were going to provide instruction. We were intentional of how our teachers were going to get professional development. We were going to get intentional of who was going to be teaching and how are they going to be teaching. So the intentionality of a big, huge plan of how are we going to change this. So we're going to look at instruction, we're looking at curriculum, we're looking at assessments, we're looking at, so the professional development of who we had as staff also was a big priority. We have to have a systemic approach that has one voice, and it's a K-12. So what is it that the kindergarten students are doing? What's the first grade? So we're progressing, and everything is a progression of alignment. So from the first grade teacher already knows what the kid's going to look like when they finish in 12th grade. So it's a progression of everybody owns the student. Everybody owns the learning. Everybody owns the issue. So the bottom line is that kindergarten teacher that started and that senior teacher that finished, we all own the same kid.
We had the opportunity to utilize MBAs, which are math benchmark assessments, 3 times over the course of the school year. Those benchmark assessments gave us information around particular PEs, or performance expectations, which are the standards in mathematics, that we assessed our students on, and were able to analyze the data that we received from those assessments to determine what our students were struggling with, what our students were competent in, and also what our students were exceeding in their knowledge.
Some of the instructional strategies that I use is I try to give my kids a wide variety every day of whole class instruction, partner work, independent tasks where they get to really work on those on their own and then get to talk through them with other students. Also taking students to intervention or extension groups to either help build them up so that they're up with their classmates or help extend them beyond that. Having just a plethora of tools in your bag and giving those kids those same tools, more than one way to do everything, accepting and acknowledging that there is more than one way to do everything. There's not always one right way to get to the answer, and having the students be much more involved and engaged in what we're doing instead of just being an audience for the teacher to speak at. I think them being an active part of the learning has been a really big change in math in general, but also for my own teaching.
As strategies, we really work in groups together, so kids problem solve. They collaborate to try to find, their solution. So at the end of our lesson, we're always talking. Explain your reason. How did you find this? How can you explain your answer? What procedures did you take? Is there a faster way we can do it? Is there an easier way? Do you understand her way or his way? So it's a lot of talk, a math discussion at the end of the lesson, a lot of reflection. I feel that's just really helped our kids develop language in math.
I have used PowerPoint, I have used songs, I have used videos. I've created a few songs the kids for the kids to sing along with me. Well, it starts out, multiplying decimals is as easy as can be. Multiply it all, then add, you'll have a ball. I don't know. I have the lyrics somewhere else. But we've gotten pretty creative with that, and the kids will be singing that.
The support that I have been able to give my teachers as they make this shift is I meet with them once a week in what we call our focus meetings. And these focus meetings are very intentional, looking at student data, looking at their work, how are they performing, tracking each individual student, where they're at, and then where they need to be. And so we meet and we look at this data, we talk about interventions. If a student is not making progress, then we talk about, okay, what are we going to do for this child? And so the teachers are not doing this on their own. They're doing it with the support of me and also our math coach in the building and their colleagues, their teammates. And so we're all brainstorming together. Okay, this child is really struggling with number sense. What are we going to do about it? And then we would, really dive into, well, what is it with number sense that they're struggling with, to really target that intervention and make sure that we're meeting the needs of all the kids.
I'm Carolyn Frankenfield from Ochoa Middle School. I'm the math coach at grades 6 through 8. We are currently working on an intervention program in the math department, and we have identified the level 1 students based on MSP in both math and reading, and we are giving them an 80-minute time period where they work on both math and reading strategies. They will have 40 minutes in math, 40 minutes of reading, and then they flip-flop and do the opposites. And we have hired intervention teachers that work closely with the reading coach and myself on those strategies for the students.
This is hard work, and having honest conversations and being honest with each other is hard work and lots of energy, because you're believing that you're doing the right thing until the data comes back and shows that it didn't work. So now you've worked so hard to implement, and you work so hard, and you're trying so hard to make sure that you're successful and kids are successful, because the passion is there. The passion for kids to be successful is every one of the staff that we have, K-12. So when it doesn't go well, now what?
Some of the challenges have just been the ever, changing responsibilities, changes in standards, changes in testing, changes in expectations, I guess, of making sure that we keep up with those and that we're keeping a high level of rigor for our students, and that they're being able to show the highest level of ability at their grade level. I think that's probably the most challenging, of just staying on top of the new expectations that keep rolling out.
I feel like the kids are more engaged because, giving kids time to work with cubes whenever they want, and being able to see it and build it and touch it, I feel like they get a better understanding, a more conceptual understanding, so when they're working in those real scenarios, they're able to connect it with, with what they see.
And also, now that we have aligned all of our curriculum, we're starting to see an increase in our assessment scores, and I think that's a direct reflection of all the work that we've put in on MCAT and MLAT for our math instruction.
This last year, as a district, every school made some improvements in mathematics, which is phenomenal. And here at Longfellow, our 5th grade students exceeded the uniform bar in mathematics, and that was a huge celebration.
The thing I like about math is pretty much it shows us ways that we can solve things. And actually, if you go in the outside world, there's equations you can get for like tax or something. So you can actually know before you buy something, the exact cost or something and stuff like that.
What I like about math is that when we get older and are working, it can help us with the kind of job that we're like. Like if you're an engineer, it'll help you work on building things, or like scientists making volumes and that kind of thing.
Some of my favorite things about math is basically patterns. And patterns is kind of like art, and it's a lot of fun.
I'm working on a total of 6. What's that thing?
What numbers did you come up with?
2 plus 4, 6. And 6 plus 0 equals 6. 4 plus 2 equals 6. 3 plus 3 equals 6. 6 plus 0 equals 6. And 5 plus 1 equals 6.
As a district, we have opened up a level of communication that wasn't there before. Teachers and administrators across our K-12 system are on the same page. We're working together to reach every student in the system. This is only our 2nd year taking this approach, and the results we've seen are very encouraging. The advice I would give to other districts is to take the time to unpack those standards and really know and understand what it is that they're requiring of our students to be able to learn, and requiring of our teachers what they need to be teaching. As we transition to the Common Core state standards, we will push forward some of the things that we have learned over the past 2 years in regards to that level of communication I spoke about earlier, and also continuing to work with teacher groups as they collaborate together to develop their understanding and their content knowledge around mathematics.